Notice when the water came through from under the bridge, because it narrowed at that part, and then it opened up into this wider pool, there was some counter currents going on. And I also noticed that you were casting into the main current, and then the fly would drift back right under the roots, which would normally be quite sort of hard to cast into.
Yeah, sometimes in circumstances like that you can use these back eddies and the drift of the current to actually take the nymph into places you wouldn't normally be able to cast to. So it's just using the circumstances that are available to you, and trying to work out what's actually going on under the water, what the nymph is actually doing under the water, and where it is at any particular time. It's something that comes with practice, but yeah, it is a way of getting your fly to where you want it to be.
You want it to get to, yeah. What sort of depth do you think it was at that particular time?
So the pool that I was fishing was it's about 4 feet deep. So and shelving off in places. So you're trying to keep your nymph pretty well near the bottom under those kind of murky conditions, because you want it to be as close to where the fish are as possible.
Is it intuition that you're using, or are you counting, or because I mean obviously the nymph has got a long way to drop?
Yes, it has, but this cuts through the water pretty quick, and you've got about 3 feet of leader as well, so that'll take it down. You're on a floating poly leader, but that tip will sink as soon as the weight pulls it down. So your first couple of meters of drift, your fly will be quite high up in the water. I mean, sometimes there'll be a fish feeding not pretty much subsurface, which will take the fly then. Normally they would take it either on the drop or on the bottom or on the lift. It's pretty unusual when you're fishing a big weighted nymph to have one grab it straight away, but it has happened.
So a little bit earlier, you were fishing a pool that was north or possibly east of the bridge. I'm not too good on the geography of that. And you were using a dry fly. I didn't see which dry fly you were using.
Yeah, I was using a size 16 CDC quill emerger. It's a good general pattern for these sort of small upland rivers. It represents the whole range of the ephemera flies, the upwing mayfly type flies. And I thought by casting it under the trees on the far bank, that would be the line of where the fish would be lying in that particular pool. So hoping to induce a rise at the time. There were 1 or 2 flies hatching, but nothing much rising. Sometimes just putting a fly over them will induce that rise, but on this occasion it didn't.
And how seasonal an approach do you actually use with regards to the fly that you choose with regards to the hatch that's out? Are you one of these people that believe that as long as you can mimic what's happening at the time, it doesn't really matter too much? Or are you trying to match the fly exactly?
I don't think you have to be absolutely exact. You can use something which has the right kind of trigger pattern, if you like, which triggers a response. On some of the absolutely crystal clear waters where there's a lot of upwing fly life, you have to be extremely specific. But on these rivers, as long as you're representing something which is the right sort of shade, the right coloration, and the right size, and you present it properly, you get the drift, a nice drag-free drift, then you don't have to be absolutely precise. But there is a seasonal element, of course. You get different hatches at different times of the season. The first good dry fly hatch is the large dark olive, which is a bigger fly than I was using today. You could go up to a 14 or even a 12 for fishing the the large dark olive. This time of year you tend to get the medium olives, and even the small July olives, which are tiny little things. You'd be using an 18 or a 20 for those. This time of year in the evenings you'll often get hatches of sedge, which can cause great excitement to the trout. Just about the last hour of daylight, really. Sometimes you get a good full of the ephemerid spinners. So it's good to be on the river in sort of July, August, after about 5 o'clock in the evening. That would be the best time. Whereas early season, you want to be on the river about 12 o'clock.
You caught 2 fish at quite a short space of time, but I didn't get a chance to see which flies you were using.
Right, because the water clarity was pretty poor today after that heavy downpour, I decided to go with a weighted nymph. This is a fly which represents the cased caddis larvae. It's a size 14 extra long shank with a copper head, a hare's ear body, and a little bit of a fluorescent butt. These I use to just trundle down as close to the bottom as possible, letting them drift naturally with the current. Sometimes on the lift you'll actually get the take. As the fly rises in the water, it triggers the take from the fish. This is what happened today.
Right, okay, because I noticed that from the point of view that had you pulled the leader out quite quickly, then you'd have got some drag on the fly. And in fact, that became the most enticing part of the cast itself, which was intriguing.
That last little bit as the nymph is rising through the water often induces the take.
Amazing.